Okay, I think this shot is quite picturesque. I would have seated on that stone as well to make it even cooler, but I'm afraid I'm gonna make an embarrassment out of myself if I try. It's quite wet around there, and I'm not gonna risk it. I'm not gonna risk it for a couple of likes. Okay, so today I kind of wanted to make a little bit of a video about my thoughts. This is quite different from the content that I usually upload onto my TikTok, where it's just fooling around with some languages. And you know, my most popular videos are obviously about me speaking Chinese, or like how I'm learning Chinese. It used to be a little bit of Japanese before as well, but now I'm just kind of trying to balance it out because of different circumstances in my life. I try different languages. I still study different languages, but at the same time I'm trying to find that balance in between that. And this is something that I've been thinking about for the past, I don't know, year maybe, overall, the whole progress with languages, how it's going on in my life with that, what kind of effect it has. So yeah, it's just a little bit of a thought process that I'm having right now with this really picturesque background that I'm having behind me. So, you know, being from Ukraine, and then my first experiences with languages were English, obviously, because this is the language that everybody learns everywhere, I believe. And then after that, I used to study in Poland. I used to live there, and I had my bachelor's degree done there in Poland. So obviously I learned Polish. And I mean, you know, as in any other region, there are like some countries that have pretty similar structures, words, yada yada. So it's not really an accomplishment when a Ukrainian tells you, oh, it took me like less than a year to achieve a good level of fluency in Polish, because I mean, those languages are quite similar. It's not that big of a deal. A lot of my Polish friends, they're like really able to differentiate between some Ukrainian words too. And like, for example, if I started talking to them in Ukrainian, they'd be like, okay, I understand, like, I don't know, 60, 70%, whatever it is. I don't know, haven't measured. But that was one of the first ones that kind of like got me exposure into something that I was not, I can't say uncomfortable, I can't say that I wasn't comfortable or uncomfortable with it. It was something like, you know, very interesting, something very new for me. So that was my first exposure, like, to, you know, big world outside of my country with Polish. And there I started learning Chinese. And the funny part about me learning Chinese is that actually I had never done this in China, or like I have never learned Chinese in China in a proper way. And by that I mean, first I spent like around 3 years learning Chinese in Poland, where I was preparing to apply for a master's degree, or like first a language course in China and then a master's degree there. But then with a language course, it didn't really work out because there was COVID and I was not able to go to China, so I had to do the whole thing online. It was interesting, and they tried to do their best, but at the same time, like, I mean, I was super satisfied with the program, but at the same time it's not the same, because after the class is done, I go out on the street and I'm not able to practice Chinese. Well, I mean, I think people would have looked at me very weirdly if I tried to do Chinese with them. So that was not really very authentic experience. So this came way up to me applying for a master's degree, where I got already HSK 5 or 6, I don't quite remember. I think I was applying with HSK 6 even, perhaps, yeah. And then it felt not that difficult to be a student in Chinese uni. My whole faculty, like major, it was political science. It was with Chinese people, so I was doing it in Chinese, with Chinese. That was kind of my goal all along. I didn't want to do like this Chinese teacher learning program where it's kind of all of the foreigners learning Chinese in Chinese. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go for something a bit more hardcore, but well, it was not the most hardcore option anyways, but still, it was quite fun, quite interesting, very challenging, because I had to read so many books. I had to kind of like get so much information inside of myself within short spawns of time. Like within 1 week I had to read, like, I don't know, 300, 400 pages. Obviously I never did this. I kind of strived to do that, but like the most I ended up with like was maybe, I don't know, up to 100 pages, maybe a bit more than 100, because I mean, you know, as a foreigner who has never lived in China, who has never been exposed to that much information in Chinese, it's quite impossible to get on par with Chinese who are like reading it the same way. I mean, it's their mother's tongue. It's not a problem for them to digest so much information in Chinese. But for me, like I read, I don't know, 20 pages, up to 50 pages if I'm lucky enough, and it's already hurting my brain a little bit because I'm not used to that much information in a language that is that challenging. Or I mean, as with any other language, I guess, that is not your mother's tongue. So this is the way it went, and it was quite fun. But at the same time, after I graduated from there, and I even started working with Chinese as well, like at my job right now currently, like I'm in sales, I'm in Norway right now, and I have a lot of Chinese colleagues, and I'm not practicing my Chinese with them very actively, to be fair. Some of them have quite difficult accents, which I really find difficult to understand sometimes, so I kind of like gave up on some of them, trying to talk to some of them. Those who have a bit more Belgian pronunciation, which is standard pronunciation, it's way better. Like I can have a proper conversation with them, but at the same time still, since I'm not practicing it out that actively, or I hadn't been practicing it out that actively before, I was struggling a little bit with some words or like with some grammar constructions, yada yada. Like it felt like it was a bit more challenging for me to talk than it used to be the way at the time when I was at a Chinese uni, even though once again my master's, it was online too, just the same way it was with Chinese courses. So it was very enriching in terms of getting all of that knowledge from the language and culture and just people around. But at the same time, it was very limited. Yeah, I've been learning Chinese for, I don't know, since 2016. It's been quite a long while. But I have only been in China 2 times. The second time was when last year I went to Shanghai for the first time to pick up my diploma because I graduated there. And the first time ever I visited my own uni was when I went to Shanghai, just like to pick up my diploma already. And before that, it was in 2017 when we went for a short trip through a Confucius University exchange program where we had like 2 weeks in China. It was in Tianjin and just a couple of like 3 days in Beijing. And you can imagine, back then I didn't even speak Chinese at all. It was like very, very difficult, very challenging. But then, yeah, that was the whole story with Chinese. And then eventually now I ended up in Norway. It was completely random. I was not planning to come here, was never thinking about coming here. But then I just got a job offer and I was like, why not? So I moved here, never planning before to come here. I was just like even to travel, but now I'm here and I'm enjoying the culture, enjoying the language, trying to build something for a little bit here. And at the same time, I kind of realized that it's really healthy to have those different language/culture experiences. And that was also the moment because when I just moved to Norway, I had already started learning Japanese and I was trying to fix on Chinese and Japanese at the same time. And I was in Norway, so some of my friends, they were like, why the hell are you learning Japanese? You're not going to be in Japan. Like, I mean, you're not going to live in Japan, or at least you don't live there now. Why are you doing this? Why are you not learning Norwegian? And then I kind of realized, well, first of all, I have to put priorities in learning those languages, right? Like I cannot be just going around and like aimlessly learn them unless those are hobbies and I can just like, you know, from time to time I can enjoy them a little bit. But in my case, I try to use languages for work. I try to use languages for certain, I don't know, exchanges, cultural exchanges, whatever, whenever I have an opportunity. But most of all, right now, it has to do with work. So I always try to, you know, have it linked to my work. If I do not plan to live in Japan, which I actually don't think I do, and if I don't have anything to do with it at work, then I can't say that it's a waste of my time, but I do not have it as a priority as of now, because right now as a priority is to keep on grinding with Norwegian, because I still am, I mean, I'm way more fluent right now than I used to be like last year, even in the beginning of this year. But at the same time, like I want to achieve that level, which is semi-fluent or like pretty much fluent, where it might be even get tricky for native speakers to realize, hey, are you actually a foreigner? I mean, sometimes, or maybe not sometimes, but most of the times it's not really difficult for them to realize that, right? Because it depends on what kind of sentences you're using, yada, yada, yada. So much information about this. I'm not going to go deep into it this time, but you get the gist. I just want to get like to a really fluent level where I'm talking to people, where I'm using the language very actively at work, which I already have started doing. And that's the whole goal about it, you know. And then you'd be like, but what's the whole point about, you know, what are you thinking about, like trying to find balance in it? What does it mean? In my case, just like I said, I try not to be a perfectionist anymore, because this is something that is very damaging, no matter which sphere of action we are talking about. Like, could be languages, could be work, you know, like, because this type of thinking that I used to have was, I need to achieve fluency as soon as possible. So I used to sacrifice a lot of free time activities just for the sake of staying home and, you know, learning the language, and then like trying to get exposure to that language that I was learning, particularly at a certain point of time. And then I realized that's not how it works. I just want to have it balanced out to the point where, okay, today I might actually miss my like active learning. Instead, I'm just gonna like, I don't know, try to read a book a little bit. Maybe not too many pages, but like still, that counts. I'm going to watch a show, just like for a little bit, you know, practice my understanding and actually try to enjoy it, because it's very engaging and cool and interesting for me in the beginning when I have like those fresh materials, workbook, textbook, everything related to it. But then I think, okay, like one class, second class, like all of those different grammatical structures coming here and there. But then I kind of become burnt out, which is obviously a logical consequence that comes eventually. And then I realize, in order for me not to get burned out, I need to limit my time on those particular things. And I mean, this comes as no surprise, because this is not particularly limited to languages, right? It's about everything. And that was when I kind of found out that, well, that persona that I built on TikTok, just like on social media, about me being a hardcore language fan and just making it my personality as a whole, it's not working. This is not what I want to be doing. So I kind of sometimes still make it my persona on TikTok, but mostly as a joke, mostly as something, you know, like people who have been watching me for quite some time, they know the difference. They know that it's just like, hey, he's actually joking. It's like he's being sarcastic. But for many people, like, it's a bit triggering, because they're like, oh, but like you make languages your whole personality. No, I really try not to. Not anymore. I used to, but not anymore. And this is something that I advise many people, just like whenever they're asking me, because I can say that I'm quite experienced with languages. So I like to believe that I can give some advices when it comes to learning languages. So this is something that I tell them: do not make it your whole personality, as in terms of, you know, you're sitting on it 24/7. This is not how it's working. You're not going to have a progress. This is just going to be really difficult for you to progress, because you get burned out. And the way our brain works is that if you spend too much time on one thing, you become less and less efficient. That goes a long way everywhere. Work, studies, gym, I don't know, anywhere. So I decided to be like more effective about the time that I have learning languages. So I try not to spend the whole day learning like one language, or like all of the languages all together. I just try to find those most convenient days where I'm feeling like, okay, today I'm going to listen to a bit more podcasts, maybe read some news, maybe watch a show or something. So like, you know, to make it a bit more productive in a certain way, where it's both enjoyable and efficient. So this is kind of like the thing that I've been going around with when I was like trying to make those decisions about how I proceed with all of those programs. So this is something, yeah, kind of a thought that I had recently about it. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to make some videos where I'm like talking about those languages, and maybe not only languages. This is actually a bit of an experiment for myself, because I try to step away from just this one point. Oh, I don't know if you semi-good from, well, not point, but like topic, you know, and try to make it a bit more balanced out just for myself too, because, well, I'm a bit tired of only making languages my whole personality, you know. This is also something that I want to teach myself. This is something that I want to work on a bit better. We'll see. I don't know. If you have actually any questions regarding me, like what techniques I apply as well with studying, or how I see those things, just like personally, how I reflect over them, you can always ask me about it as well. This is something that I like talking about, and this is something that I can tell a lot about. Maybe some of those things are, I don't know, biased a little bit, but they all come from my own experience, something that I've been working on myself throughout my pretty much whole life. And it gets difficult to talk like that when I'm walking up the hill. But yeah, let me know what you know. Let me know what you know. Let me know what you think.